Welcome back to our interview with Waleed Arafa, the mastermind architect and designer behind the Basuna Mosque. Now that we've understood Waleed's inspirations and philosophy more, it would come as no surprise to learn that Waleed also created a very unique Mehrab and Minbar. For those unfamiliar with the terms, Muslims pray towards the Kaaba in Mecca, also known as the Qibla, i.e., the direction towards the shortest distance to the Kaaba. Qiblas also happen to be the one sole design requirement in any mosque. The Minbar is where the Imam delivers the Friday sermon from inside the mosque, and is traditionally made from carved stone, marble, or wood. Not only is Waleed a huge talent in his own right, he is also the son-in-law of the famous artist, Dr. Ahmed Mustafa, an abstract artist who takes most of his inspiration from Islam. One of the artist's famous pieces is the Cube of Cubes, which contains the 99 names of God, which are also seen as the 99 divine attributes. Waleed went on to explain how the 99 attributes are the theoretical ethical base of Islam.
We need a lot of time to explain this, but the short and long of it is that it points towards infinity, because if God is infinite, then, and He is infinite, then His names are infinite. Mm-hmm. But this is the Michelangelo, how does the infinite connect with the finite? So 99 is something that we can fathom, but it indicates infinity.
Waleed put the actual cube in the right place, simply because it's a place of Qibla, where people direct their notion of prayer. It's a statement about the relationship of man seeking to connect himself to the Almighty.
Fractal geometry is at the heart of the Cube of Cubes. If opened, the cube will reveal the same number and order as the whole. This can be infinitely repeated and makes the concept of infinity visually perceivable, says Dr. Ahmed.
Not every human being is aware that the fact that there is the relationship between man and cosmic reality.
Emulate God in His attributes. So He's merciful, you become merciful. He's the generous, you have to become generous, and so on. Okay. And so these 99 names are our moral compass. It serves as a reminder of the orientation, of our moral orientation. So we just don't stand physically to face Mecca, but also this is what we're supposed to take away from our prayers. There's another saying that says, لا خير في صلاة لا تنهى عن فحشاء ولا منكر. There's no good in a prayer or an act of worship which will not influence your morals.
It's important to note that this Mehrab is the first of its kind, and though it's a very close replica to the Cube of Cubes, there's one major difference.
Usually he displays the Cube of Cubes in the other direction, but the other direction doesn't serve as a Mehrab, as a prayer niche. So the modification here was to actually solve it in this direction, which is a technical problem because this is a cantilever. Yeah. It's a very heavy cantilever. Each one of these cubes weighs 5 kilograms. Oh, wow. So just the cubes are 500 kilograms, and it has to be flying out in the air. So this is where architecture engineering comes in.
Material selection was also key in this rather minimal and clean design.
Everything in the mosque here, except for this double black granite, is sourced in Egypt, from Egypt. Alabaster is a very Egyptian material, and I chose it because it's translucent. I could have done onyx, but I mean, onyx was more expensive and less Egyptian. We went with alabaster because I wanted the translucency. So at night, there's backlight, and all of this lights up in a very subtle and gentle manner, which gives the place also a different type of ambience of subtlety and peacefulness.
Something standard Waleed did was put the minbar to the right of the mihrab. Unlike other minbars, however, Waleed designed a minbar that was recessed from the main prayer area, with a staircase behind the wall and hidden doorway for access.
As a kid, actually, this starts from my childhood, because I used to feel, as somebody who now understands that I was maybe born to be an architect, and I'm always concerned about how space is being used. And obviously, I was very irritated by how the big mihrabs would ruin a few lines of prayer because of how they protrude into the space. Obviously, it's not a bad solution in their time, because the mosques were so grand and big, and you needed the imam to be standing very high to be heard. So that's justifiable in old mosques, but not anymore now that people use microphones. And that we don't have much space. So if I created a minbar that would protrude in the space, I'd lose this line and this line, and I don't have many lines to begin with.
Another reason the black-on-black granite was chosen was to allow the imam to stand out more, especially for those sitting further away. Waleed's strong use of research, metaphors, and his conceptual foundation are what made his minimal design so elevated and uplifting. And he extended this design philosophy into the columns and minarets that are, to super simplify matters, inspired by the Arabic letter alif.
From the first dot comes the Adam, the primordial man of the letter shapes or the letter beings, which is the alif. Okay, this is what Muhyiddin ibn Arabi, the well-known Andalusian scholar and Sufi sage, called it. He said the alif is the Adam of the letter shapes. And he wasn't just using empty words, because from the dot, the alif is created, and then the alif is how every other letter is almost like a variation of what the alif is. Okay, so when you describe a ba, you say we're gonna go 1/3 of an alif from up and downwards, and then we're going to go 2/3 of an alif from right to left, for instance. So it's the yardstick. That's what it means to be the Adam. And so the whole thing here is based on the proportional system, is based on exactly the same proportional system of Ibn Muqla. So all the geometrical relationships that you find in a cube. And then also, interestingly, the alif of how it's not perpendicular, but it's balanced. So this twist here, when you have to see the morphology of the alif to understand this. But it's based on a square plan, and then the side of that square, the height would be 7 times that. So if this is x, this is 7x, and up there you're gonna have a square within a square, but twisted 45 degrees. Okay, so it's a nod to the proportional system, but it's also, this movement is giving you this, vertical circumambulation, because prayer, daily prayer, salah, in Islam is also a form of circumambulation, or hajj, like your daily hajj. And that also reflects in the dome, because you have units, and through the way they're tessellated, gives you that feeling that they're moving, that they're circumambulating, that they're moving round and round and round, until the last one, they're shrinking inside, and then suddenly you get to that state of annihilation. When you become bodiless, when you're not physical and you become metaphysical. Annihilation, fana. They call it maqam al-fana. And you join the celestial reality. So this is it.
That's beautiful.
We are in Ramadan, and they're telling me that they had to open the lower section for the first time for the women. So the women are praying upstairs in the mezzanine, and they've also taken an area exactly the same size as
so where we're standing. Men at this
We have 2 entrances for that space, and we made it as an open plan so as to see where the bigger numbers are going, like, so we can give 75% for the women and 25 for the men or whatever. Actually, the women, as you've heard, took 100%.
Yeah.
That's how enthusiastic and that's how deprived they were.
Yeah.
And so this is great news for me that yes, they weren't coming because they weren't welcome.
Yeah.
And so it's an honor that we were guided to create, to do an architectural decision that actually made them feel welcome.
Architecture can be and is many things, and one undeniable aspect of architecture is that it can be a catalyst for major change. For Basuna, the village, a mosque designed with women in mind created just that: change.